I'd like to welcome everybody here to SUNO, the communiversity. My name is Dr. Clyde Robertson. I am the director for the Center for African and African American Studies here at Southern University at New Orleans. I'd like to recognize our dean, Dean Harrell, who's the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences here at the university.
Keep it on him.
I'd like to recognize all my colleagues from SUNO. Please rise. All my colleagues from SUNO, all the students from SUNO who are here, please rise. I know I've got some students in the audience with extra credit, which will be forthcoming. I'd like to recognize Sisters Linda and Darlene, who are members of the Center for African and African American Studies staff, who are working as they normally do, 24 hours a day practically. Please stand and be recognized, Sisters Linda and Darlene. I want to recognize the City of New Orleans, specifically the Department of Cultural Economy, who are partners with this and in this affair. Please stand and be recognized. Sisters Elena and Alexis, please stand and be recognized. Sister, I don't think we've ever met. Please stand and be recognized. All right. We have a special guest all the way from Baton Rouge. Many of you know her. She's one of the top civil rights attorneys in the country. And we've worked very closely together now for the last 2 years. Sister Angela Bell. And her very capable assistant, whose name just left me. Sister Rainey. Thank you. Thank you. Now, most importantly, I want to recognize the man who chronicles everything for the last 40 years. That's been SUNO, Brother Mike Mahan, and his students. Most importantly, though, I want to recognize Mr. Ford.
Mr. Ford, where's Ford?
I want to recognize the people for whom we have gathered. The folks who have really been the backbone of cultural New Orleans, along with other folks who come out of the African American neighborhood, the steppers, the second liners, the baby dogs, the skull and bones. But tonight we're celebrating the Indians, the black carnival masking Indians. So everybody who's affiliated with the tribe, every Indian in the house, please stand and be recognized. Every Indian in the house. More specifically, I want to recognize all the big chiefs. All the big chiefs remain standing. All the big chiefs. But in particular, the big chiefs with 50 or more years of masking under their belt remain standing. So you're the reason we're here. You're the reason we're here tonight. Not only that, times have changed, brothers. Times have changed. 50 years ago, they were calling you thugs and criminals. Ugly. They were calling you and your tribes. 50 years ago, you've been masking, you saw wars. You saw your people drop. 50 years ago, times have changed. Now you're pretty. Now you're the backbone of a cultural economy that grosses hundreds of millions of dollars a year. You're the backbone. Amen. If nobody else recognizes it, we do at SUNO. It is our responsibility. Not the CAC. If they do it, it's beautiful. but it's our responsibility at African American institutions to recognize African American institutions, and you are an institution. You are a human institution. 50 years of masking or more. So we are here to celebrate you. We're here to acknowledge you. We're here to thank you. And we're here to put you on the pedestal where you belong. We'll be calling you up very shortly, brothers. Once again, what is this? This is the Center for African and African American Studies annual tribute to Black Carnival. What have we done in the past? Starting 4 years ago, we recognized the big queens of 5 Mardi Gras Indian tribes. The year after, we celebrated the Skull and Bones societies. Last year, we brought upwards of 7 baby dolls. We brought 7 baby dolls to the campus, and we celebrated them. We celebrated that culture. But the time has come to celebrate the big chiefs. And yes, sir. The time has come to celebrate the big chiefs. As I stated before, celebrate the big chiefs with 50 or more years of experience. I work very closely with a sister. You know her as Big Queen Connie. You might also know her as Baby Doll Connie. But there's another title that you might not be familiar with. Assistant Professor of History at SUNO, yes. Connie. Big Queen of the Blackfoot Hunters. So at this point, I'd like to walk you through the syllabus. The syllabus. I'd like to walk you through the program, which was beautifully and expertly done by Sister Darlene. Of course, you know who I am. I just introduced myself. I am introducing to you the occasion. We will have a scholar, man who he and I talked yesterday, 60 years has been chronicling Black New Orleans. Jazz, DJs, Carnival Indians, Black Carnival Indians, Baby Dolls, Skull and Bones. The brother I'm talking about is Dr. Maurice Martinez. He will give us a brief history. But then he's going to call to the panel the brothers who make history, the brothers who are here, who have been here for 50 years. This is history making. I don't think, and I'm a historian as well, of some repute. I don't think as many big chiefs have been called who have spanned over 50 years in any given space, place, or time. And so these chiefs will be given an opportunity to share their truth, to share your stories with those people who love you the most in panel form. After the panel, they'll be ringing and singing. After that, there'll be eating. We do several things in New Orleans quite well. Eating is one of them. And so that's the order in which the program will take shape. Again, I'd like to thank the city of New Orleans, Sister Alexis, Sister Elena. Thank you for supporting us in this endeavor and working hand in hand with us. Thank you very much. Also, we will be providing to the big chiefs a small token. It's very small when considering you've been doing this for 50 years. There's some things that we'll be bestowing upon the brothers at the end of the program. That again will be a small token of our appreciation for what you've done for the community and for the city. At this point, I'd like to bring Queen Connie up to the podium. Queen Connie will introduce our lecturer. Give it up for Queen Connie, y'all.
Greetings, everyone. Pardon my sniffles. A lot of the big chiefs can attest to that because I came around the big chiefs coughing, sniffling, oh my goodness. And I think Big Chief Kevin, he was kind of down with it for a while. He caught something from it. But greetings, everyone, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, especially the Black Masking Indian Nation, to attend this historical event celebrating and honoring the big chiefs of New Orleans Black masking culture. This is an historical event in two ways. One, these individuals who will later come before us have been in the Black masking Indian culture since birth, or even started at a very early age. So we are looking at these individuals being in this unique culture for over 50 years. And two, this celebration is taking place at a historically Black university, Southern University at New Orleans. Our guest speaker, Dr. Maurice Martinez, PhD, is a native New Orleanian-born Renaissance man, a poet, photographer, musician, filmmaker, and host narrator of radio, video, and film. He is also Professor Emeritus at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. Through both its heritage and scholarly research endeavors, Dr. Martinez is steepest in African American history, culture. Dr. Martinez, he earned his BS degree at Xavier University of New Orleans and his MA, Master's, and PhD degrees at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. He taught for 51 years before retiring. He has written numerous articles about the Mardi Gras Indians and his award-winning film, the first definitive treatment on the history and culture of the Mardi Gras Indians, titled The Black Indians of New Orleans, 1976. This is considered a classic film documentary. The 1976 documentary focuses on two tribes, Yellow Pocahontas and White Eagles. Dr. Martinez has studied cultures and rhythms in Brazil and New Orleans, and has been featured in radio, video, and film. To date, Dr. Martinez has produced 36 documentary films. His film footage was used on HBO in Spike Lee's 4-hour documentary about Hurricane Katrina, when the levees broke. Among his many films are Colored White Boy, The Quorum, Arrested in New Orleans for Interracial Gatherings at a Coffee House, and Too White to Be Black, Too Black to Be White, The New Orleans Creole. So, without further ado, let us applaud Dr. Martinez.
Hello, testing. Hello, Mike.
Right.
Testing, 1, 2, testing.
Michael. Well, I better be good after all that. Can you drop this a little bit? There we go. All right. Say, never stand when you can sit, never sit when you can lie down, never lie down when you can make love. And you live to be 100. Of course, they didn't want me to use that other word instead of make love. Coochie Molly, spy boy, pretty spy boy, Coochie Molly. Spy boy, Coochie Molly. There's an old French Creole proverb that says, "By qu'oublier, poté mac songer." He who strikes the blow forgets. He who bears the marks remembers. To be born dark in a world of light, to be born black in a world of white, to be suppressed, enslaved, beheaded, whipped, lynched, dehumanized, disenfranchised, denigrated, humiliated, unemployed, underpaid, last hired, first fired, systematically excluded from the fruits of the American dream, harassed, stopped, frisked, shot, divested, arrested, isolated, encapsulated, segregated, and incarcerated for no other reason than being black in a world of white. How then to exist? How, dark man, do you exist? Yesterday's, tomorrow's fly, giving birthless nows the chance meaning of the present, while the present passes over me and the future shoes, and my soul sits and sings a kind of funky blues, for my brown body does not know where to go anymore, trumped out in a world of lying intolerables, and my black face has no more space for wrinkled smiles of sadness, and my mind pays no mind anymore to my gladness. You see, but it matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll, for I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I'm the spy boy. And tonight, my big chief gonna take him down. Because my big chief got the golden crown. No, he won't bow down on that dirty ground. Because my big chief got the golden crown. I want to pause here a minute to thank Southern University of New Orleans, the Department of African and African American Studies, and in particular Dr. Clyde Robertson, for the wisdom that they have portrayed here tonight in arranging this gathering, first of all. For providing a day of recognition for so many of the bearers of a most important culture that have gone unrecognized for decades and decades. And to you, all my big chiefs, wish to thank you for those 50 years and more for keeping this very important New Orleans culture alive. Year after year, you appear in a new suit, a personal work of art, not to be hung up on the wall, but to be worn on your body as you walk through the black communities for us all to see. Suits made with your own hands, and your fingers. My pa said that. My pa taught bricklaying at Booker T. Washington for 30 years. Trained just about every bricklayer. Mr. Martinez, they call him. Rhyme with mayonnaise. He said, a man is not a man until he can use his hands. He put me through 5 years of bricklayer apprenticeship, 105 in the shade. But you did that hour after hour, day after day, week after week, month after month, throughout the year to prepare that suit with beads and stones and feathers and materials and bright colors. And when you were ready, sometimes and most times with great sacrifices too of money and time. Yeah. But your virtues were more important. Your virtues of tenacity, of courage. They have a word that's filtered through in the last decade called sustainability. Every time you look around, somebody's saying sustainability. But you have something more than sustainability. You had stick-to-itiveness. Stick-to-itiveness. You are the masters of that. And as leaders, you have inspired young people. As leaders upon whom the pale moon gleams, you are the movers and shakers of the world forever, it seems. Like beacons of shining light, you have brought rays of hope, of love, of joy, and happiness to the souls and hearts of black people in New Orleans. You emerge on Carnival Day like beautiful butterflies from cocoons of benign neglect. Brilliant colors to send the darkness of despair to hell. Big Chiefs, we are proud of you today, and today we honor you for all that you have done to make Mardi Gras be something more than Mardi Gras. Now, I'd like to, if I could, we're going to hear from each one of you. But first, I'd like to share, because I kind of got blessed a little bit. I'm 85 going on 49. Oh, I'm going another 20, baby. But I was blessed because I was around to talk to some of the old people who Mass Indian, who are not here today. There's an old Armenian proverb that says, well, now things have changed and we got the fruits of the American dream, many of us. Young people are getting jobs we never dreamed we could get. And while you're enjoying the fruits, the Armenian proverb says, never forget who planted the trees. I'd like to share with you a few names of some of those trees that have transitioned, and some of the stories that they told me and some of their contributions. You know, when I spoke to folklorists about this tradition years ago, they say, oh, those are just a bunch of urban Negroes on the parody of playing Indian, thinking what Indians ought to be about. I'm here to tell you right now, the origins of the Mardi Gras Indians and Black Indians did not originate with a white actor who came to town by the name of Buffalo Bill in the Wild West show in the 1880s. No, it was around much, much longer. But more important, it has a connection to Africa and to the belief systems of West Africa. One of the trees that I met was Ed Richardson, big chief of the 101. And he sang Indian prayer song in 1915 for me. The name of it was Shango Mango Loha. Now those of you who have studied the religions of Africa know what Shango means, one of the most powerful Orishas, spirit deities, spirit forces, the god of thunder and lightning, whose colors are red and white in beads. And Loa comes out of Haiti. Loa, again, is another form of the same belief system. And so he sang that for me, and he said when he came in and he hit that tambourine and he said, Kanafea! And they all would stop and they all would sing Shango Mango Loa. Another one that we should never forget. Danny Lambert, big chief of the Wild Squatoos, who had 100 members of his tribe in costume. And before they ran out, they had to come into the house. He had a big bowl of gin with gunpowder. You had to take a scoop of that and take a drink of gunpowder and gin, and then he'd send them on. And I asked him about Brother Tillman. He said, oh, Brother Tillman. You mean copper wire? I said, why you call him copper wire? Well, his suit fell apart one day, and they had to pull it together with copper wire. That's why he got that name, Timber. He said, when Brother Tillman heard me coming, he ran the other way. You see, he could have been, Danny Lambert could have been a general in anybody's army. 100 going down the street. And let's not forget Robert Nathaniel Lee, Big Chief Robbie, who was the chief of, for 33 years, of 4 different tribes, among them the Creole Wild West and the White Eagles. I talked to Lawrence Fletcher. He was a beautiful man. He was a boxer. Y'all didn't know that. He showed me a picture with him in the ring in the same gym that he boxed with Miles Davis was a boxer. They hung out together. But he was the first to come out with a target on the back of his costume. And Little Black Benny, in the 1920s, the first to bring a drop crown. He had plumes that he'd gotten from the seamen on the ship, red, white, and blue, drop crown. All of the crowns before that time were short crowns. And every year there was always a little bit of a change, as you've seen in your 50 years. I had somebody in here that wasn't satisfied with, I'm not going to call his name. He didn't want just one crown, he came out with 3. But 3 crowns. So every year there's something new. Lawrence Fisher, and let's not forget Big Chief Donald Harrison Sr. He knew the game. He knew how to play the game. And at a practice, when you saw everybody dancing, Donald was the best dancer on the floor. When he came to New York, I was up in New York working at college there. I brought him up. He taught me how to walk. He said, Big Chief got a special walk. I said, oh no, we walked through the streets of Manhattan to Marcus Garvey Park in Harlem. And it was packed. 9 out of 10 people there was from New Orleans because they heard the Indians were coming. He said, you'd step, when you see somebody coming, another chief coming to you, so you step out with that left foot and you slide that right one behind you to anchor you. And you make sure you see everything from one hand of your eyes to the other, peripheral vision. He knew what was the game. The voice that you could hear 6 blocks away when he sang, Bo Dallas Sr. Let's not forget Big Chief Bo Dallas. And Lil Walter Cook. His daddy, a lot of families in here. His daddy's Big Walter. He founded the Wild Magnolias in 1958, and his grandfather, Joseph Cook, massed with Danny Lambert and Wild Squatoos in the 1920s. So we have all of that, but let's not forget the women, because we had queens. They weren't big queens back then, they were just queens. I got to talk to a few. You see, in the 1920s, you heard about the Roaring 20s. Whites had the Charleston, we had the shimmy and the shake bed. And one of the queens was named Shake Beard, because when she shook, everything shook. I'm telling you, I've never seen a woman who had more ripple when she just looked at you. Make you want to change your religion, I swear. And she had, her friend was Black Alice. And Black Alice told me she was the first woman chief. I said, why is that, Black Alice? She said, well, I used to carry a pearl-handled pistol right here in my bra. She says, and one day one of them other chiefs came up to me and told me to humba. She said, I pulled my pistol out and I shot his crown clean off his head. I said, and she said, ain't nobody mess with me after that. I said, well, I guess not, Black Alice. But then the shooting and the cutting and the razor-sharp hatchets and tomahawks were put aside by the chief of chiefs, Big Chief Allison Tudor Montana. He said, we got to stop shooting at each other and cutting up each other. We got to do something else. And let the prettiest come out and win. And so he helped to downplay the violence and upplay the art of it all and the costuming. Well, I looked at this, and I looked at this as long as there's been carnival in New Orleans since the 1700s. You didn't know it went back that far, although the newsprint tell us that Comus was the first to come out, you know, the Comus Parade in 1857, before the Civil War. But you know the difference between Comus Parade, Rex Parade, and Black Indian Parade? With the Big Chief? When Comus came down the street, they came down the street because they were the first, like they owned the street. Rex come down the street on a big float on a crowd, waving his scepter like he owned the street. And Black Indian Parade, Big Chief come down the center of the street, walking down the street like he don't give a damn who owned the street. That's the difference. And people say, well, Maurice, you made this film, you call it Black Indians. Why didn't you call it Mardi Gras Indians? I said, well, Mardi Gras was just the least restrictive opportunity not to be harassed by the police. Mm-hmm. And they took advantage of that. Anybody could go out and mass, be anything. Men could be women, women could be men. Anything went down there. And I said, besides, we owe a lot of gratitude to the Seminoles and the black Seminoles in Florida. Because if it wouldn't be for them and that man up there in Jackson Square on the horse, Andrew Jackson, white supremacist. Y'all didn't know that, did you? Oh yeah, they call him Old Hickory because of the Battle of New Orleans and how he had won the war, end of war, ran the British out. They didn't know that we didn't do that all by himself. He had sharpshooters. Jean de Couleur Lee, free man of color, sitting there. They had dudes who could fly those one-shot black powder muskets. They could, at 100 yards, they could hit the whiskers on the gnat's balls. That's how he won that war. But the slaves, back in 1724, Bienville enacted something called the Code Noir, the Black Code, and how were you supposed to treat slaves. And when you ran away, one of the articles says, well, the first time he runs away, he's going to get braided on one shoulder with the fleur-de-lis that you see all over everywhere now, fleur-de-lis, and cut his ears off. That's the first time. Second time he runs away, hamstrung and braided with hot iron on the other shoulder. The third time, death. But it didn't stop them from running away. They ran away anyway. And they went to Florida and they intermarried under the leadership of Osceola. Osceola married two women. He had an Indian wife and he had a black woman formerly enslaved Africa. And he had two generals, or many of them around him, but two prominent generals. One was called Coacucci, or Wildcat, and another one was John Horse, a black Seminole. John Horse, Cavallo they called him. And John Horse could speak 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Muscogee, the Seminole language. Muscogee, thank you, sir. Muscogee. And he was the interpreter for Coacucci. Well, Jackson and the white plantation owners got very upset that they're losing their slaves and runaways like that, and persuaded him, and he started the first of 3 Seminole Wars. And the first one, he went in and he burned 300 Seminole villages, Jackson. And then he told them, he says, y'all will move out to a reservation where I want you to go. He says, we're gonna bring the army in and take it and move you out. And that was the Second Seminole War, which lasted 7 years, undefeated. 3,000 black Seminoles and Seminoles took on 30,000 United States Army soldiers and went undefeated. They went undefeated because they were guerrilla warfare. And you know, they didn't have radar and helicopters and all that, but I brought something that helped them to win. Y'all know what this is? Yeah. You see them all through the palm things. And when they dried up, they put them on the trail. And when the soldiers came, you could hear them coming. And as soon as they walked into that trail, that was their ass. All right. Well, you heard me say Coochie Mali, and there's a lot of that around, but I'd like to just close out with why that's so important and why that survived as a song lyric. You see, Coacucci, because they had won 7 years, and it was one of the most expensive, millions of dollars, 30,000 soldiers, they killed about 1,500 of them. After the end of the 7 Years' War, one of Jackson's generals, Jessup, said, well, we're going to have a flag of truce. We got enough fighting. So they put this white flag up. In came Osceola and Coacucci and John Horse and the rest of them. And when they came in to talk about peace, they surrounded them and threw them and arrested them. They violated the flag of truce and threw them in prison. They put Osceola in one prison, and he died 3 months later with his wives and people at his side from malaria. But John Horse and Coacucci, with 18 other warriors, were put in this prison cell, and they had a little window up there about 8 inches wide. You know, they stripped the canvas off the bunks and made a rope, got up there and pulled a bar out and squeezed through and escaped. And he went and fought for 2 or 3 more years. And Coacucci was an orator. And then here comes Jackson, got to be president. 1830, he enacts the Indian Removal Act. Right, with the Trail of Tears. Am I telling them right? I got a witness.
Still under right now.
And that Trail of Tears to move them to a place called uninhabitable. And you know how they brought them? They didn't walk across land on a steamboat from Tampa Bay to New Orleans. Took 5 days. And they brought people over, and Coacucci was smooth. They said, well, can you help us move your people? He said, yeah, I might need a little more time. Bring me some more whiskey, we'll talk about it. While he was doing that, John Horse, they orchestrated an underground railroad. You don't hear this in the history books. that ran from New Orleans to East Texas in a little town called Brackettville, which was on the border of Mexico. Mexico had outlawed slavery in 1820. In the 1830s and 40s, 5,000 enslaved people and black Seminoles escaped on that Underground Railroad from New Orleans into Mexico. 5,000. We hear about Harriet Tubman. She came along a little bit later and did a lot of good things, but not 5,000. Now, what was happening? Where does Cucumale come from? You got to remember that the dominant language in that time was French and French Creole. And so the cry of freedom was Coochie, because we don't want to say all of those syllables. We dropped the co-op part. Coochie! And Male is French moi aller, which means me go. We don't say je vais I go, me go in Creole. So Coochie, Male, me go with Koa Coochie, we're getting the hell out of here, we're getting away from this slavery, we're going to go into Texas. So that's where that outcry lived through oral history passed down from one generation to the other. I hear a lot of changes in the song lyrics, and I don't want to keep rambling all night, but I want to tell all of the big chiefs, let's bring back some of the old stuff like 2A Parkaway. 2A, because we dropped the 2A. You hear now A Parkaway and the Neville Brothers come along with hey, hey, hey. But it's 2A, T-U-E-S means in French, you are. Pa means not. Que comes from the verb qua, to believe. You are not to be believed. You full of shit. You got to come a little bit better than what you're telling me. See? Now that's the French version of it. And 2A also is a verb, mean kill him, baby, kill him dead. And then if you look at the African part, there's a word in Kikongo language, mumpaka, which means a wildcat, cunning. We got a lot of black Indians never dressed, never came out on carnival, but became very famous. They took their game to the music world. And you know them when I start talking about them. Tina Turner, black Indian. Jimi Hendrix, black Indian. Huh? Yeah, you're right. All of them. Black Indians. The Neville Brothers and the Wild Child Petulas, black Indian. So it is a powerful coming together of two oppressed peoples. And so when we get to 2A Parkaway, try to bring that back. Well, my mentor was Langston Hughes, poet, and I'd like to conclude with one little poem he wrote. He said, my motto as I live and learn is to dig and be dug in return. Kind of faith. Thank you very much. I think, Dr. Clyde, you want to bring people up, or we're going to try to have big chiefs of 50 years come up, and we're going to have I want y'all to come up and give something about yourself. When you first became into costume and dressing as Indian, but more important, in a very brief way, let's tell everybody something that they don't know about you, that you'd like the world to know, Big Chief. All right?
All right, before we do that, let's give a round of applause. History lesson. Expert history lesson. Let's give it up. Dr. Martinez. A renowned historian, storyteller, American tradition. Again, thank you, Props. All right, at this point, we're going to call the people up, the authentic voices, the narrators of their own history and the history of their tribes and their communities. We're calling them up to the stage. First, I'd like to, and you can applaud when you hear these names. First, I'd like to call to the podium Big Chief Walter Sugar Bear Landry, Big Chief Black Mohawk. Second, Big Chief Alfred L. Wambo from the Cheyennes. Big Chief Clarence Delco, Creole Osceola. Big Chief Victor Vic Harris from the Fayaya. Big Chief Kevin Goodman from the Flaming Arrows. Big Chief Tyrone Casby from the Best Bay. Big Chief Ray Hatchet Blasio. And Big Chief Darrell Mamut Montana, Yellow Pocahontas. When Darrell comes back, he'll join the brothers on the podium. Again, at this point, the Big Chiefs will tell their story. And a story, I'm sure, they have to tell. Dr. Martinez.
Okay. I tell you what, I will just call your name. When I hear your name, pass them to the mic.
Yeah.
And then let's give it out. Tell us a little bit about what you want everyone to know about you. Let's start with Nolan Pancho Peters, Blackfoot Honors. Is he here?
Blackfoot.
I'm sorry. He's not here.
He's not here.
Okay, Sugar Bear. Walter Sugar Bear Landry of the Black Mohawks.
Thank you.
You gotta turn it on.
Testing 1, 2. Testing. First of all, I want to give praise and thanks to the Almighty for blessing me to be here. Secondly, I want to thank each and every one of you that thought enough of us to honor us the way that y'all doing today. It's been a long time coming. 1953 is when I got introduced to this culture. 9, 10 years old maybe. And I enjoyed it. I come to love it. And as I got involved in it, I was taught many ways. I've seen many type of suits. Started back from fish scales, sequins, bottle caps. Oh yeah. The junk man used to come around, the rag man, and he would go on St. Charles and all of these other rich areas. And he would get these beaded gowns and rabbit coats, fur coats, and he would sell it to us. Now, you wanted to be in good with the rag man. He was your friend if you was a Mardi Gras Indian. Now, marabou, ruffles, lace, all of this stuff didn't exist back then. The name of the game was being creative. And the more you was creative, the better your suit looked. Ribbon, glitter. These was the Indian's best friend back then. Tubing. If you knew the guy that worked at the corner store, on weekends they sold fish. They sold fowls such as chickens and turkeys. We would buy these feathers. We would buy these fish scales. This is what we put on our suits. And change is good. I like the way it's done now, but when I look back the way it was when we did it, you didn't have to have no money, per se, to do this. It was mostly creativity. And I look at guys, when I say the word creativity, like Little Walter Cook, Darrell Mammoth, and a few others. I mean, these guys, let's not forget Harold Featherston. These guys did their thing. The top banana back then was old man Tootie Montana. He brought this to a whole different ball game because at one time everybody looked at the same, more or less. Tootie decided he wanted to look different and he did something about it. So now you have two types of suits, but they still come under one culture. You got the uptown suit that we wear flat beaded patches. The downtown Indians, they use creative art, symbols and all. One is no good without the other. I've seen them try to cross it over. It just don't go. If you're going to do creative art, then do creative art. If you're going to do flat patches, then do flat patches. By all means, stick to what you do best. Keep the culture together, but try to look like you, the area that you represent. And I look at all these chiefs lined up here, starting from Brother Hatchet, Mahmoud, Casby, Brother Kevin, one of the youngest chiefs up here, him and Al. And I mean, all of them contributed to the cause, you know. And I'm gonna tell you, one is no good without the other. So when you see these guys on Mardi Gras, appreciate them because they have spent money that they really couldn't afford. We don't do it to make us look good. We do it so you can appreciate what we look like. When I do my suit for you, you, and you. I go that extra mile. I gave them smoking. I used to love to ride around a lot in my automobile. I backed off on that because this was costing me extra money. Money that I could have put on my suit. Few stones, few more beads. My thing is this. We do this because of you. Appreciate what we do. Encourage us. Cheer us on and allow us to keep trying to do better so we can please you. I've heard it time and time again, guys complain, well, see, he could have did this, or he could have did that. Where were you at when I was doing these things? Okay? So, don't criticize what I'm doing. Appreciate, because when you see Sugar Bear on Mardi Gras, I done did my best.
Yes.
Okay? I done did my best. Now, if you feel as though I could look better or should look better, hey, I'll let you come over and give me a hand. I don't have no problem with that. You know, help me. But in the meantime, let me be me and appreciate what I'm doing because I'm out there to entertain you. Okay? So at this time, I'm going to pass this over to Brother Al, one of the youngest chiefs here. And the young man, he's into this. Al support his whole family doing these suits. I don't see how you do it, me. My wife, my daughter, myself, my grandson, my son, I catch hell doing them. I be pointed out. Pull little Al here, I don't care. When you go to Al's house, Al doing something with that kneeling thread. So hey, appreciate what Al do. Let's give him a big hand because the boy is one of the top chiefs in the business.
Thank you, Bill. Good evening, everybody. First, all praise to the Most High. I'd like to say, well, today is my birthday. And as one of the youngest kids in the city today, I made 61. I first started off back in the early 60s. I was in the elementary school, I was second grade. I always knew I was going to be an Indian. It's just part of my spirit as a child. And the first costume I made, Indian suit I made, and I tell the young guys this is a representation of your artwork. This represents your craft. So my first suit was all cardboard. And I'll never forget my first year, it was just plain cardboard. I came outside with it and the children were so mean, they were throwing rocks at me. Boom, boom, hit the cardboard. But I didn't let that deter me. And now this year I make 50 years, if God say the same. This Mardi Gras will make 50 years actually making an Indian suit. Not just being around the culture, massing Indian, since the third grade. So I thank God for giving me the spirit to keep the culture alive. I thank God for giving my wife, my beautiful queen. She's really been an inspiration to me because she's kept me in it by helping the kids in the neighborhood. She encouraged me to bring them inside off the corner on 2nd and Right. You heard this had full shooting yesterday on 2nd and Right. And we would bring them inside, Mama feed them and help them with their homework, and I'll teach them how to be. And we helped a lot of youngsters learn the craft. And I tell everybody, making this Indian suit is so important because it teaches you so many things that you don't realize it teaches you. It takes patience, a whole year to make one. It takes determination. You got to be motivated. You got to be dedicated. And it teaches young boys to have a goal, to set something before them, to strive for something bigger and better than themselves. And so from that point of view, I just thank God for giving me the spirit to carry it on. Thank you all. Good evening, good night. I'd like to thank God for keeping me here for 27 years. Psych. You all were supposed to stop me when I said that. I got into this as a little boy following a chief named Tootie Montana. I followed him because my daddy followed him. I wanted to mass, but I was interrupted with a war called Vietnam. I went to Vietnam in the manner that they lied to me. They told me if I sign up, I wouldn't go to Vietnam. I had a scholarship to Southern in baseball. I stayed out one semester, and the girl sent my name in. So it started in that manner that if I sign up, I wouldn't go to Vietnam. As soon as I signed up, they had two lines. The biggest line was the one that was going to Vietnam. That's the line I was in. I went to Vietnam, stayed there a year and a week. When I got back, I followed Tootie Montana again. I come from an area, the 3 villages of Gentilly. I come from the village of Boscoville. I was raised up in Boscoville. And it was a thing where I had to start masking. And in '69, I asked Tootie Montana, can I mask with him? Without any hesitation, he told me yes. I
I didn't know how to draw, but I knew how to dream. I had a good buddy. I had a good buddy. That's the Ricky coming in right now. He let you know he coming in. I had a dream, and my dream was whatever I wanted to come out in. I dream it, my friend draw it, I sew it. And that's what happened with me from that point. I sewed a suit that wasn't in the caliber of the yellow Pocahontas. So when I got out there that day, I was running with pounds on my back, but I was used to it because I was from Vietnam. And Tootie said, call Delco back here. Get him back here with me. He made me a trail chief. And from that point on, I was a trail chief. I always looked at the yellow Pocahontas as the prettiest tribe in the city. And there's some pretty tribes in this city. I got one sitting next to me that stabbed me and didn't even know he stabbed me. He was in the way. That's what he always tells me. I think we have one of the best fronts in the world that I admired. Fred, Wingy, and Meathead. I used to go home and dream about them because they were so good up front. They knew how to communicate. After so many years, I went out on my own because I couldn't sew like they sewed. They sewed what you call a three-dimensional raise. I sewed a three-dimensional flat. And in sewing that, I sewed sheets. I didn't sew patches. I sewed stuff long as you would say, an ironing board. When I finished that piece, that was the whole piece that was going to go on that suit. I made frames for it that looks like an ironing board. It just moved it and kept moving it. And when I went out, I wanted to name my tribe after Chief Osceola. That was a chief that I had read of, and I didn't know Doc knew that much about Osceola. He had the first underground for shipping slaves away. He did, and he was brave. He never wanted to talk too much peace because they didn't know how to talk to him about peace. So basically, that's who I took after. And in taking after that, I had one of the largest tribes as a beginner than anybody, because everybody in Boscoville was family. We had cousins, uncles. You know, I had a tribe of 27 Indians, and we looked pretty. We looked real pretty. And a lot of tribes take for their neighborhood. I took for my neighborhood. Everybody was in that area came from the Osceolas. And we didn't have no hostility whatsoever. Had a little bit at the beginning, but it was overturned. But I enjoyed masking. I got the first suit in the New Orleans Museum. I got a suit in the Smithsonian. They're trying to put me now in that Black Museum in Washington. I got I got a whole lot of stuff. But trust me, if I had everything in the world, some of these guys you see up here, it's much, much more. And I enjoy being around them. I was given the I would say the head as the peace chief by an organization about 20 years ago. I didn't know I was that peaceful. But it's, you know, from where I had been, I thank God to be here today. I saw death at 19 years old. More death than, I don't know, I ain't gonna say more than you'll see. But I could be talking to a guy one day, the next day he's dead. And that you have to get over that. I remember when I got back, he said, Sarge, where you want to go into? I said, I want to go into Oakland. If I go into Oakland, my aunt can tell me, call my mom and tell her I'm in country. He said, okay, you know you got to catch a bus. I said, okay, that's good. I'll catch a bus. I was walking down the tunnel, and when I was walking down the tunnel, he said, you know they spit on you when you go in that route. I said, I'm not worried about no spit, you know. I slept in spit, you know. So I was coming, and the young girl was coming. I didn't know she had ice cream. She was licking ice cream. She stepped in front of me and rubbed that ice cream all over me, my face, my chest. She said, you baby killer, you should have died. He said, come on, Sarge, you got to change. I don't know what happened to her. He said, come on, we got to change. You got a bus to catch. Got changed. I came back out there. I was looking for her. And I was looking for her strong. He said, Sarge, what you hunting for? Come on, you got a bus to catch. I said, I'm looking for some more of that ice cream. I ain't had that ice cream in a year and 3 days. You know? So I have learned to be peaceful no matter what. Some of these guys can tell you they can't get on my nerves. He's the best guys in the world. He tries sometimes. Much tries. But I've been around India. I've been trained by some of the oldest Indians. When I got into this, I went hunting for the oldest Indians. That's who was teaching me. The older Indians. And I learned from them. I learned from some of the things that Professor Maurice said. He was truthful. This was something by the just naturally. And I'm thankful today to be here. I'm getting a little slow. You know, I'm 28 years. I say 28? I'm 72 now, and it's getting better. But I love this game. I love this game. It's a beautiful game to be in. You just got to get used to it, and I love it. You know, I love it so much, and I love the age. I carry a phone around with me. My phone costs $29.99. Best phone that Walmart has. I got an old Indian partner that always want to try to take my phone. And my grandson told me, he said, Papa, don't pull that phone out in the front of my friends. The phone been the best thing. Get a call and give a call. I love this. I sews my suits. I will continue to sew until I can't do it no more, which I think is coming soon, but I don't know. God gives me the spirit to get up every morning. He gives me with new thoughts every day. And I tell you now, that's my running partner. God is my running partner. I run with him. So basically, I've been around a while, and no matter how long you've been around, it's got to come from your heart. And when we do this for you all. You know, when you all tell us we are pretty, you don't know, you didn't say it a whole lot. You didn't say you make these fingers feel good when you do that. So I'm glad you all came tonight, and when I have my 30th birthday. When I have my birthday, I thank God. So thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Good night, everyone. My name is Victor Harris. I'm the chief of the Mandingo Warriors, better known as the Spirit of Fire. Yeah. I won't talk as long tonight. I want my wife to stand up, please, because she told me not to talk that much tonight. Yeah, I'm born into this culture, really born into it. I'm born and raised in the 7th Ward, for Park and Claiborne, Park and Robinson, within that area. And when I say I'm born into the culture, I'm saying that because the culture was always there. Big Chief Tootie Montana was my chief. Big Chief Allison Tootie Montana, that was my chief. I messed with Tootie 20 years. 20 long years I messed with Chief. We talked about a lot of things, but you see, everyone at this table, what you believe at one time, we were like enemies. Let's go to show you how time moves and how it changes. Because tribes couldn't stand one another. You see, we was ignorant back then. Truly, we were ignorant. We really didn't like each other. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it and say this, that, and the other. I'm going to tell the truth about it. But thank God that we outlast that. And we're here today to say, thank y'all for being here. The programmers who all put this on for us to be here tonight, and everyone else who has something to do with it. I started Mass when I was 15 years old. I was 15 years old. And I Massed with the Yellow Polka Hunter for at least 20 years. In 1984, I moved on and I became the Spirit of Fire Chief of the Mandingo Warriors. And there's other things that I like to say about the Mardi Gras Indians. We only talk about the Indians, we talk about the suits, but we don't talk about the things that we do in our community. I've always been an activist. Ever since the Tamarine and Fan came along with Jerome Smith, Rudy Lumbar, Big Ike, Fred Johnson, people like that. Those are the people, that was in my neighborhood. So I had a lot of leadership, some very good people. Well, I'm not going to say much, but I'm telling you, Mardi Gras is my life. Carnival, the culture have been my whole entire life. Honestly, without culture, I don't know whether or not I would be here tonight. Honestly, this would be 55 years of me massing Mardi Gras Indian, making the suit, making 55 suits. Like my Chief Tootie would say when he died fighting for the culture, he said he wore 52 suits. That's what my Chief Tootie would tell you. He made 52 suits. He wouldn't claim the culture 50 years or 52 years. He was involved with making 52 suits. This would be my 55th suit this year myself. Now, if you want to put involvement in with this, I've been doing this since I was 6 years old. And I'm 69 right now. And that's how much I love this culture. The culture has been my life. It's like the story of, let's say I'm home sewing all the time. I'm sewing, and I'm in a house, I'm sewing. And believe me, I hear gunshots all the time, every night in my neighborhood. It still goes on in my neighborhood. I can hear the shooting, but I'm inside sewing. I can hear the crying outside my doors. I can hear all of the problems that are going on outside my house. But I'm sitting there. It's a Passover for me because I'm sewing. That's what sewing does for me. That's what it does for me. It keeps me alive. Honestly, it keeps me alive. I love sewing. That's my life. That's my culture. And culture is everything to me because culture to me is God. Everyone else can claim a religious, but God is a culture that I love. He's my culture, the Lord. And that's what keeps me going, this culture. I belong to it, I love it, and I'm going to remain in it, and I'm going to die in it just like my Chief Allison Tootie Montana did. He stood up and he talked to the city council, the mayor, Ray Nagin, and the police chief, and he was explaining it to them about the respect that we deserve. That's right. I would like to go out and die just like my chief for something that I believe in.
Good night, good evening, good morning, and all of that. I first want to say thanks, of course, to the Almighty. We all know that. But tonight is just an honor to be sitting here because when you look around, I look down the table, there's a lot of years of masking here, a lot of years of carrying on the culture. Some of these guys that said they were enemies, I was never their enemy. but I came from across that water. West Bank, Algiers, the only game. I met some good guys when I came across that river master. And that's what I think about the culture, because we talk about family. We talk about how to keep it together. And the only way we could do that is we, as chiefs, make sure we take care of our tribes or our gangs, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it's a community. It's a culture. Dr. Martinez pointed that out earlier of how long this has been going on. So, you know, to let individuals know, there's nothing new. It's been going on. And you need to follow some of your elders and get it right. Because that's the only way you're going to get it right, if you listen to your elders. Of course, if you read my bio, it's in the book. I'm not going to tell you I started masking at 16 years old. I've been following culture since I was 4. Had a brother named Tickle Man, the Wild Man, the Mohawk Hunters in Algiers. Again, that started by my great uncle in the 1930s. And it may be more than that, because you know oral history, it changes as you talk about it. Because it's not written. We didn't have much writing back then. And Doc could tell you that. But his research also helps us to know where we are today. But I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful that in 1980 I became a big chief. Because then my profession enabled me to come across the water. And one of our songs is How You Gonna Cross That Water. And I remember going in Boscoville, Clarence Delco, I call him Clarence. You don't like that, Delco, I call him Clarence. Because Clarence said, come to my parade, Tyrone. I said, you sure? He said, yeah, I'm coming. Big Duck, Fred, Milo, Tamarine and Fan. Come on across that river. We're going to leave from the bayou and go to Hunter's Field. They're going to be all right. And we did that because it was family. It wasn't no animosity. And I felt that way. Now, we had issues. We all have issues. But like issues, I let them go. I don't carry them with me. But tonight, I just want to say to these guys, keep doing what you're doing. But talk to the young ones. Because your family, your children, your grandchildren, your children's children are going to benefit from this. Because at the end of the day, there were times when they tried to get rid of it. Vic alluded to it for a minute. Doc alluded to it. Because they didn't want you to know your culture. You know, we talk about tradition. Traditions change. The culture's in your heart. That never changes. You can change traditions. You can change flat suits. You could have monograms, you have all of that. But your spirit don't change. And every time I get an opportunity, I just want everyone to know this. What you don't know about me is that my family, I'm a 6th generation Casby on the West Bank. My great-grandfather lived to be 118 years old in Algiers. I had the pleasure of actually knowing him. And that spirit is what was in me. My Uncle Frank, my great-uncle Frank, started it in Algiers. And someone asked the question, well, how did it get to Algiers? Easy. My Uncle Frank had to come on the East Bank. And he brought it to the West Bank. And I don't leave the West Bank. One of the biggest fights I ever had was in trying to maintain this for 50 plus years was, why don't y'all go across the river on Mardi Gras? I said, for what? I ain't left nothing on me. Now cross the river on Mardi Gras. I got to take care of my community. That's what this is, this family. And I did that. Now when Super Sunday came around, I drove school buses over here. I jumped on the back of trucks going to Boscoville, going to the bayou. And I'm going to tell you the story. I'll never forget this. I took a school bus. I was coaching Landry High School. And I came over here on a Sunday. And I pulled up in Boscoville and parked on Lombard Street. And all my little Indians and all the gang, we got off that bus and we rode. We had a good time. I got back to work that Monday morning. My boss called me and he said, Tyrone. I said, what? You had the bus across the river. I couldn't lie to him. I said, yes, I did. He said, well, why? I said, I had a parade. He said, well, but you took a school bus. I said, we had no other way to get across the river. And believe me, I put my job on the line for my culture. And that's how I felt. I felt that I was going to represent Algiers. And one thing Honey used to always say to me, he said, man, you know what I love about you guys in Algiers? I said, what's that, Honey? He said, y'all sew new suits every year, but y'all don't meet nobody. We don't have to meet nobody. We sew because of who we are. We sew to maintain the culture in Algiers. We sew not to beat nobody. We sew because we are somebody. Because if I got to beat you at something, now competition is in it. And when competition get involved, animosity comes out. When animosity comes out, we fall apart. And now we don't have no God. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have no Indians. Because I don't like you, you don't like me, and nobody masking. So I say to these chiefs, and any young chief that's out here, and anybody that's part of a tribe, talk to them. Tell them it's bigger than Nino Brown. It's not all about you. It's about the culture. And if we don't maintain this culture, it's going to go away. And like I said, I'm a 6th generation CAAAS, but I got my sons, my family here, because how you going to cross that water? Thank you.
Come on.
Good night, y'all. How y'all doing out there tonight? It's good to see all y'all beautiful people come here to listen to our experiences, strengthen our hope, and where we come from. And you know, me, myself, sitting here between all these yellow Pocahontas, you know what I mean? And for me, it'd be easy for me to sit down here and talk about me tonight. You know what I mean? But I want to talk about my big chief. I want to talk about where I come from. And my big chief was Big Chief Merck from out the 7th Ward. And his name, they call him Merck, but it's short for Mercantile. And he was the founder of the Flaming Arrows Mardi Gras Indians since I was born. So I was born into this, you know. And so, you know, all my life as a little chief, that's the only position I ever ran when I was a kid, you know, from a stroller. And I used to have to meet Lil Jerome every year. You know, everybody else know Tyju and everybody else know Tyree and all them, but they was babies under me. I met Lil Jerome. Darryl went to school with my oldest brother. All the ones them guys that's up here, they way older than me. You know what I'm saying? But they knew me from a little boy, and they knew me from when I was massing. I was taught by Merck, I was taught by Harold Featherson, and I was taught by Big Chief Boy. That's names that wasn't called. So y'all need to know. So when you hear the name Blackfoot Hunters and you hear any other tribe that come from back of town in the 7th Ward, they was taught by Merck. So I was raised into this. You know, when I was growing up, a lot of my friends couldn't mask. You know, when I would go to school the day after Mardi Gras, you know, after wearing my suit, and I never knew it. I just like, you know, went to school like normal people, but when I go to school, all my friends be like, hey, man, you was pretty. And Lil Jerome, he got all his people, and, you know, we at the merry-go-round singing Indian songs and at lunchtime, and when we get off in the evening, we had to do it again before we go home, and they got a million yellow Pocahontas. All the little kids, everybody from up front of town, you know what I mean? They was all hunters, but we had, you know, we had the Cherokee hunter. We had my boy's son Clarence, you know, he was rough too. Like how we were talking about, they ain't had no soft Indians back then. It wasn't no, we ain't had no, I hate to say this, but we ain't had no dope boy Indians back then. You know what I mean? It was needle and thread, face painted red, and you gotta get it how you live. If you put that suit on Mardi Gras Day, you might just die. So when you hear them words in them songs that we sing them for, it's a meaning behind them. We don't do that just to have fun, like Doc was saying, two-way, pocket-way. You gotta understand what you singing, you gotta understand what you talking about. We're talking about Big Chief Payzone. These guys that made suits in the 50s and the 60s that haven't been beat yet. I can show you some pictures, I can pull out pictures. You're talking about three-dimensional and this, that, and the other. It's called creativity. It's making a costume, making a suit. It comes from your mind. You know, Harold Featherson and my daddy, they was best of friends. And Harold ran with 2 to 2. And one of the best singers, I was taught by him. I was taught by him and my daddy how to sing. Because they sit down there and they sew all night and they sing and they make magic. You know what I mean? And it just, I didn't have a choice whether I wanted to be a part of it or not. Because I was born under the son of the Big Chief Merck. A man that I have great big respect for, that I'll never have the respect for another chief That's the only chief I ever bowed to in my life when he died. And Tootie Montana said, he said, I love the way you sent your daddy home. He said, I wish, you know, my tribe and my people sent me the same way and feel the same way about me as you did about your dad. You know what I mean? And I remember, you know, all my cousins wanted to be Indians, but they couldn't because their family didn't allow that. Their parents didn't want them to go out there and get killed on Mardi Gras, get hurt, or get their suit took off. They would take your suit off, they'll take your hat off your head. That ain't just no words that we sing in no song. That was for real out there. When they say you died on Mardi Gras, you died St. Joseph night, if you didn't die, we made it to where we at right now. We didn't live through the 50s and the 60s, and we didn't made it. We didn't made it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit here and say I masked 50 consecutive years, but just like my dad, whether I put on the feathers or whether I wear them on my hands is still in it. I still teach. We raised 5 generations. My brother raised the young flaming arrows. We made all their suits. We taught them how to play Indian. We taught them how to live this. It's because it ain't no joke when you go out there from a kid. You have to teach your child how to play Indian, how to respect the next Indian. The younger generation, they don't know nothing about that. That's why they're so wild and crazy now. They don't know their head from a hole in the ground. They can't even tell you why they put the suits on. Because they got the money to put them on now. But like Chief said, you didn't need no money to mask. When I was growing up, it wasn't about no money. It's about you bring what you had to the table over there by the house where we working at. If Darryl wore blue stones last year and he ain't wearing blue this year or whatever he wearing, he give somebody else his stones, whoever wearing blue or whatever color they wearing, and they can mask. Or you can mask a child. And then you keep this thing going. You know what I mean? And that's why, you know, I'm still raising Indians. I'm still teaching my kids and my grandchildren. And I teach my tribe. Don't get on that float at practice if you're not masking.
That's right, that's right.
If you're not sewing, you're not coming out this year, you're not masking, don't get on the people float. Because you represent me. So when you go out there, or my queen going out there on the float, meeting Indians, and that's another thing. A queen don't get in front of no grown man, period. I don't care who he is. Because if you jump out there in front of a grown man in front of me, I'm running over you, taking your hat, slamming you too. Don't get in the way. So, you know, when I see this now, you know what I'm saying, and how the queens acting like spy boys and they running to the big chief and all that. You don't do that, you're going to get killed and you're going to get your chief killed. They don't mind killing your chief too. They don't mind that, you know, but we here tonight just to share our experience, strength, hope with y'all and keeping the culture alive. I'm going to pass it on to Darryl.
Thank you, Kevin. Good night, everybody. I just would like to say that I got involved in the culture somewhere around maybe 1961. And the way I got involved in it, my sister Denise is a witness. My daddy used to give us an allowance, and he also used to pay us to cut sequins and beads for old suits, and we bottled them. At that time, the sequins and the beads came in little plastic bottles, plastic and glass. The glass bottles had a cork tops, and the plastic bottles had little yellow caps on it. Well, anyhow, my daddy would, the incentive was, we would fill the bottles up. He made a little screen. He took a cup and put holes in it, and he made it look like a rice with a strainer. And he would pour all the trash, beads, strings, sequins, everything in the cup. And you shake the cup and shake the cup, the beads fall out, the sequins and the thread stayed in the cup.
And then after that, we had to separate the thread from the sequins and bottle everything, rebottle it. And I think he gave us like maybe 5 cents a bottle. And he was slick about it, because what he would do is, we would think we had the bottles filled, and he would take the bottles and hit them down, and the bottles wouldn't be full. He said, "You got to fill that bottle up, that bottle." But that was his way of I guess, getting us involved in the culture. And for a while, I didn't really know exactly what all the stuff was going towards until we wind up catching the bus. We were living in Desire. And we caught the bus from Desire, and we moved in the 7th Ward, and by my grandmother's house at 1313 St. Anthony Street. And I finally got a chance to see exactly what they were doing with the stuff. They were working on a suit. So after I had seen my father in a suit, then I wanted the mask, but he would not let me dress because my father was a construction worker, and me being a very creative kind of child at that time, I went in his toolbox and I took some of the blanks that he used to shoot to put the nails in the cement, and I wound up giving them to a friend of mine, and he had nothing to do but hit the blanks with a brick. And when he hit the blanks with a brick, it exploded and it hit him in the face. He ran home, told his people, I shot him in the face. When my daddy come home from work, they bust my butt. He told me that I couldn't mask. And now we've moved from downtown, we moved to the 7th Ward. We lived over a body and fender shop. I used my allowance, and I also used to wash the cars, and I would sweep the pavement at the end of the workday at the body and fender shop. They used to close at around 1 or 12. And I used that money, and I walked to Greenberg's. At that time, it was on Rampart Street, right across from the street from the Municipal Auditorium. I would go walk there, and I'd take my little money, and I'd go buy my stones. And I paid for my very first suit. I was about 9 years old, and I've been dressing ever since. I've not dressed 50 years, and the reason why I didn't dress 50 years, because before my father's death, we had a little argument, and he had said to me that, he asked me would I do 50 years. I said, no, that's yours. I promise you I won't do 50. So I'm right now at 48 years. I'm gonna do another year to make 49 years, but I can't do 50. I've actually made about 70 or 80 suits. I've only dressed 48 years, but I've not dressed over 50 years, and I'm not gonna say it because I didn't do it. But anyhow, I enjoyed dressing. In our household, the household that I came up in, carnival, because we say carnival in our neighborhoods, we say carnival, but carnival in the household to us was bigger than Christmas. Oh yeah. That was our Christmas. And I just want to say that I'm honored, one, to be here around all these chiefs. I know that it ain't easy. I always say that I would not wish this on my worst enemy. It's kind of like an addiction. You can't stop. But I do know that after a while you gotta kind of give it up, because I'm finding even with myself at my age, I'll be 64 in another month in a couple of days, 65. And I'm now having problems with my eyes. So I don't see, and then my best eye is my worst eye now. So I'm struggling to see those beads, but I do plan to mask at least one more year. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank y'all for being around here. My name is Ray Blazer, your Big Chief Hatchet from the Wall Apache tribe. Now, I started around 1949 when Tootie Montana started the Mardi Gras Hunter. His flag boy lived across the street from my house, Charles Farrier. His spy boy, Charlie Brown, was the spy boy living on that block. And his stepson was Vincent Bush. And that was my little friend. And on a Saturday, we used to get together, go through papers and all. I used to help him with his paper route. But I used to like to go by his house, and Charlie Brown be sewing, and they be singing. He liked to sing two-way Parkaway, why don't you take that flag down? And I'll never forget how he was sewing. He had a switchblade knife and a pair of scissors, and he was sewn by a kerosene lamp. And he had the fireplace. And man, at that time, like we call ourselves shielding our apron. He used to shield his apron with spangles, them tin spangles. And at that time, in that years and stuff, it was carnival. And you knew when the Indians is coming, because you could hear them spangles hitting when they walked. But, like right now, you hear people going on Jackson Avenue up there in Claiborne to see the Zulu. At that time, there wasn't no Zulu.
Come on.
Them people, the neighborhood people and all were waiting for the Indians, going with the Indians. And as you know, no Zulus. But now, they go see the Zulus for you. Because the costume we are making now, and the Indians and the gangs is making now, it ain't like they would make it in the 40s and 50s. Everybody, man, putting money out and making them beautiful suits everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, somebody gonna holler. Oh, look at that color. Oh, look how pretty it is. And majority of people, that's how they go by, the colors. Right. A lot of them know, can't carry what kind of design you had on or nothing. They don't know. Oh, I know he was pretty. He was in the shocking pink. He was in the powder blue. He was a, oh man, that's the color you liked it. But you don't know what it was about. And then sometime, if the spy boy or flag boy ain't stand still, you can't see nothing. If they're playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, man, you got to be moving and playing. And man, that's where the beauty at, man. You don't know how pretty it is to play the game, man. And cause when I first masked, now I'm gonna tell you when I first started sewing, when I was 15 years old, in the first parade, the Carnival Parade, from Portage and St. Claude. I used to go down there on Portage and St. Claude and walk and follow the parade and catch beads and stuff. See them beads, them glass beads, they call them beagle beads. Man, I used to sew the suits with that. But now you can't get too much of beads to sew, that they break open, you can sew them. But man, look, I used to go and catch that boy and have so much trouble at the parade. Them people, if you catch some beads in another person, out of color catch them, and they're gonna break them. And not only that, if they hit on the ground, and you want to pick them up and they see you won't pick them up, they're stepping on your hand and all. So, man, that was so much of cruelty around in parade, but I used to follow it all the way back home. I was living on Annette between St. Cloud and Marie. And Flag Boy Charles Farrier took a liking to me. Spy Boy Harmon John took a liking to Paul Honoré. And Dwight Harris had our son Lou Ronald. That the only 3 youngsters with the yellow with the Mardi Gras hunter. And Harmon brought Paul out all in yellow. Charles was fixing my suit, but I ain't put it on until 1953. It was fixing for 52, but I didn't make that carnival. But in 53 that night, that St. Joseph night, that's when I met Big Chief Fletcher. That was the last year Fletcher masked as a chief with the White Eagle, you know, and we all was at the dam at the SUNO-Center Club. And Fletcher hollered and played, and I played with Fletcher, and Fletcher told Tootie, say he ready. Yeah, man, I used to enjoy that boy, that's my pride and joy. Indians in second line, my pride and joy. Boy, I love it, man. And I hope that everybody could continue sewing and man, but it's a hell of a thing. You got to be like Harold said, you got to be addicted, but you also got to get a crew. If you get a good working crew with you in the neighborhood, sewing with you and for you, man, you got to be loyal to the people and treat everybody nice, bro, with that. And boy, they see that, you come out, they can help you. Yeah, man. But brother, it's something else for you to try to make one of them suits by yourself. You got to be crazy. Listen, boy, that's hard sewing and thing. And right now, man, it's hard on the eyes, like Darryl said. You know? Man, but I love this boy. I love this boy like I love it. Ain't nobody can tell you, boy, that ain't a pretty thing to do. Man, jumping and hollering and playing that game, boy. I carried the banner for Tootie Montana. When I was flagging bar for Tootie Montana, I had a flag boy. Jerome Smith used to come by the house. We used to talk about it and get it together. I had a flag big as the table. And they had design on both sides. And man, boy, we used to jump and holler and play. I used to love that game, man. Love it still yet. And I appreciate all y'all, boy, for the work y'all doing.
How about a big round of applause for all these children? Give them a standing ovation. Indian of the nation, my big chief. Big chief. Big chief. Good Somali. Yeah. Well, let's spend about 15 minutes, if you don't mind, on some questions and answers. If anyone out there has a question, answer. I heard mention of the boy and the Creole Samoan, and they had styles where they wore the crown on their shoulders and all kinds of things. Yeah. Y'all remember that? Yeah. Right. But it's love. You see it up here? It's love for the culture. Yeah. Love. Okay. Let's see if we can. All right. I know y'all want to get that 7th inning stretch. Are there any questions for panelists up here, for any of the big chiefs? Any questions?
Let's go get them.
We got Therese in the back end of the question.
Y'all don't have a
Mike.
That's Donald Harris' daughter.
But I have a comment. And I would just like to say that this is an historic gathering and event.
Can we get you all's attention, please? All right, attention.
I don't have a question. I ask questions. I'm a teacher. But I have a comment, and I just would like to say that this is an historic event. It really is. It really, really is. And you are definitely witnessing history. We don't have gatherings like this often, as Queen Connie said. But what's most important is that these are our community heroes. All heroes are not in textbooks. We don't have to wait for someone to declare us. We declare ourselves. These men are cultural warriors. They're community heroes. They appropriate public space for ritual processions. They wear fine art. It is not stagnant on the walls of a museum. You are able to interact with them, and they bring beauty to our communities. They are truly, truly deserving of this and so much more. When they have been, historically, when people have tried to strip them of their humanity in so many ways, they have found ways to maintain that are definitely rooted in West African traditions, culture, as well as our Native American mutual ancestry. So I want to say thank you to all of you. And I'd like to just, now this is my own little PSA. I'm sorry, I had the Mardi Gras Indian Hall of Fame for 20 years, and so we sunsetted before we could honor Bear. But I'd like to say, everybody up there got a crystal feather. Yeah. So we know that, and the most important thing about that is the feathers are voted on by other Indians. I don't pick. Do I pick? No. Did I have anything to do with it? No. I sat on the side and they handled their business. So if you got a crystal feather, that means the other chiefs said, this person is worthy of getting a crystal feather. And you all were. They all had the Donald Harrison Senior Crystal Feather, and I'm very proud that they were given to them. Thank you.
I have a comment. I don't have no question.
Here's a comment.
Hello, Maurice. I'm here to represent Jake, Gerald, Milon, and the White Eagles. A name that will go down in history with the rest of you. Right. I'd like to see all of y'all gotta meet. Yeah. Somebody carry water, somebody carry needle and thread. Yeah. Somebody got lemons and peppermints. Right. Somebody who you see, give him your number, he'll take it. Give him a card. Give him your number over there. See him? Give it to him. And it was an honor for me to be that fellow. Yeah, you're right. With Jake Milon. Yeah. That's all I got to say.
All right.
Any questions? Any comments?
I have one question. The question is for the gentleman on the right. When you made the statement about the queens not getting in the front, would you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yes. So what I mean by that, I don't have a problem with repeating it. That the Indian chief, our queens are only on the side of us to make us look good. You know what I mean? Times have changed over the years where the queens started meeting.
But times have changed over the years where the queens started meeting, and they still do meet on Mardi Gras Day. But when the queens meet the queen, and then she stand on the side. You don't. When that gang flag opened that hole, and he said, "Big Chief," the queen's supposed to move on the side and get out the way. If she don't move on the side and she's in front of her chief and she's standing there like she a spy boy, she will get ran over. Or the chief can run up on it like I said and just grab her and move out the way. That's all. So that's on your big chief. If you got a great big chief that believe in protecting his tribe, he's not gonna leave his queen hanging. He's not gonna stick his queen in front of him. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by that.
And to add to that, Fletcher, Big Chief Fletcher told me, he said, we had a practice one time, way uptown there. Bull Dollars came. He said, you see my queen protected me. He said, she's to my side, but anybody try to mess with me, she step out and protect me. That's what Fletcher told me.
Yeah.
Let's say something.
She controlled by her chief.
About the Mardi Gras Indians. In our community, like I said, I'm an activist and I'm a leader. This is going on unnoticed. For 35 years in the community, we have been given a back-to-school picnic party for the children. 35 years. No federal, no state, no local funding. All the funding comes from the community. 35 long years. I mean, that's how long we've been doing this kind of work in our community, helping our children. And I'm sure there's other Indians up here could tell you things. Darryl, Montana, a whole lot of us could say how we serve our communities. So we have to think about all the good things that we do other than just mass Mardi Gras Indian. And I want to say one more thing. My mother and my father, thank you. Before my mother died, she died at the age of 94. I'm talking, what, 5, 6 years ago? Now let me tell you this. When she died, she had 213 living grandchildren.
I like to add something. These people here from representing our political leadership here at the table, the mayor. I lived in Brazil for 2 years. You know what the Brazilian government does for their cultural bearers? They give them a house. They give them an annual salary. They give them a car. They give them all the wherewithal and respect that they do. Every man up here ought to be on somebody's state, federal, and local payroll to just go around to the schools, talk to the children. These are our leaders. It's time that we get some of those resources free. Yeah, we've been doing it through the community, but there's enough money out there to give every one of these guys $100,000 or more a year, a house, a car, and anything else they want, to pass this culture down to our children.
As we're talking about passing,
As the book says, that's what I'm talking about.
as Dr. Maurice stated about passing it on, I can honestly say, once I became chief, I think it was in 1995, I honestly can say that I've taught about 3,000 kids, locally and nationally, and I've taught approximately about 40 senior citizens. I'm about economic development, and the seniors that I worked with, they are on a fixed income. So what I did, I shared my craft with them. I had them making the little Indian dolls. My vision was to one day open up the Tootie, Montana Museum, whereas the kids and the seniors would have been in a position to make the souvenirs for the gift shop. My thing with working with the kids was, if I don't get them to sit at the table to sew, the dope deal is gonna have.
Yes, sir.
So I've been a stickler for working with kids and senior citizens. Thank you very much.
I would like to just put a topic on that, not very long. You can't imagine on some of the jobs Queens could have, like the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame go out across this city, bringing kids to their table with different grants, doing different things. I do a lot through the Hall of Fame organization with kids. They teach them the young age of what a feather is, what a plume is, how to dress themselves up. That means a whole lot. As every Indian say up here, every Indian up here that I know of that's up here deals with kids. And as he said, that dope man gonna get them if somebody else don't get them the right way. And they like that. That's colors. They like to deal with colors. It's like a puzzle. You know when you got a puzzle when you was a child? When you had little toys and they had pretty colors on them? That was very important to a kid. The Hall of Fame that Miss Sharice and Miss Haris do with kids, you'd be amazed when you see that museum that they got and the way they teach those kids in there. That's very important.
Any question? I've got a question for Big Chief Vic. When you started out with the Mandingo Warriors, you developed a unique African aesthetic. What was your motivations?
Mike? I didn't want to be mistaken for any other nationality.
Okay.
Mike? It was about my ancestors, the motherland. That's what it was all about. You know, in America, what they call us, African Americans. Okay, so you heard the first word, African American. So I didn't want to be mistaken for a Native Indian or anyone else. I'm a black man, and that's what I stand for.
Me too, Vic. And I'm ready.
All right, Big Chief.
Any other questions? Any questions? All right, well, please join me. I'd like to piggyback off what Sister Queen Sharice stated. This is history. Oh, we got a question. Come on with it.
Who's the oldest Indian? Actually,
Son, move it aside.
that's it. That's all.
I'm 27.
Again, please join me in acknowledging these big chiefs. 50 years or more. Please join me in acknowledging this dynamic Professor Martinez, a legend in his own time. Before we get to the grub, there's something that I have to do. I need to get you all's attention. I need to get everybody's attention. All right, I'd like for Elena and Sister Alexis to join me up here, please. We have a token of our appreciation that we are going to share with the big chiefs today. It is a city proclamation which comes from, there's somebody with a phone, if you can answer that or turn it off, please. We need the train, brother. The train needs to pull off the track. All right. All right. The mayor has issued a certificate of recognition from the city of New Orleans, and it reads as follows. I, LaToya Cantrell, mayor of the city of New Orleans, hereby do recognize, and the brothers' names are in the center. In the spirit of Mardi Gras, we offer our heartfelt congratulations to you, Big Chief, as you celebrate more than 50 years in the black masking Indian culture with the White Cloud Hunters. This would be for Little Charles. May your reign as Big Chief be forever remembered, and may it be distinguished among all others. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the city of New Orleans to be affixed this 17th day of February in the year 2020. I'm going to call the names of the big chiefs who are on the stage right now to come and get their proclamation.
One you was using at the thing.
Well, actually,